They pull away. They go silent. They create distance so sharp it feels like rejection. But what if that very withdrawal isn't proof they don't care, but a hidden cry for love? What if the silence is speaking louder than words? When distance becomes a wall, distance is the avoidant's first language. It's the wall they build, the fortress they hide inside, the armor that protects them from being seen. To you, it looks like coldness. To them, it feels like survival. Because closeness, true, emotional closeness, doesn't feel safe to someone with avoidant attachment. It feels dangerous. It feels like losing control. It feels like stepping into a fire they've been burned by before. When they withdraw, they are not always saying, "I don't care about you." More often, they are saying, "I don't know how to stay close without feeling like I'll disappear." Avoidants carry wounds that were often formed in childhood. Wounds where love felt conditional, where vulnerability wasn't safe, where their emotional needs were too big, too much, or ignored entirely. So they learned to shrink those needs, to hide them, to bury them. And now, in adulthood, when someone gets too close, those old wounds resurface. That's why the avoidant pulls back. Not necessarily because they've stopped loving you, but because being close awakens a fear they can't put into words. To you, the distance feels cruel. It feels like rejection. It feels like being pushed out into the cold. But to them, the distance feels like breathing again, like safety, like control. This doesn't excuse the pain it causes you. It doesn't make the withdrawal fair or easy, but it does reveal something deeper. The withdrawal is not the end of love. It is often the clearest sign that love is there, but terrifying to them. Think about it. If they didn't care at all, they wouldn't feel the need to run. They wouldn't feel the weight of closeness. They wouldn't feel anything worth protecting themselves from. Distance, paradoxically, is often their proof of feeling. But instead of leaning in, they lean away. Imagine standing in front of a locked door. Behind it, someone is crying silently, but they don't dare call for help. They think if they make a sound, you'll break in and see too much. That's the avoidant's heart. Withdrawn, silent, distant. Not because there's nothing inside, but because there's too much they don't know how to share. When you're with an avoidant, their withdrawal becomes the cycle. One day, warmth. The next day, coldness. Moments of connection followed by walls of silence. It's dizzying. It's confusing. It makes you question your worth. You replay conversations. You analyze their texts. You ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why did they suddenly pull away? Why do they act like I mean nothing when I felt like I meant everything yesterday? This cycle isn't random. It isn't about you failing. It isn't about you not being enough. It's about their nervous system screaming, "This is too close. This is too risky. This feels like the pain I once knew." Withdrawal is their nervous system's attempt to regulate, not with you, but away from you. And here's the painful irony. The more you chase, the more they run, the more you demand answers, the quieter they become. Not because they don't hear you, not because they don't care, but because, to them, closeness in those moments feels like drowning. So they protect themselves in the only way they know, by retreating. Yet deep down, beneath that retreat, there is always a longing to be loved, a longing to be safe, a longing to trust that someone could stay and not hurt them the way the past did. But the longing terrifies them, so they bury it under distance. Here's the truth most people miss. When the avoidant withdraws, they're not only protecting themselves, they're testing you without even knowing it. Testing if you'll still be there when they return. Testing if your love is conditional, like the love they once knew. Testing if closeness always ends in abandonment. The withdrawal becomes their way of asking, Can I really be loved without losing myself? But for you, the partner, that withdrawal doesn't feel like a question. It feels like punishment. It feels like rejection. It feels like abandonment. And that's why these relationships hurt so deeply. Because while the avoidant is trying to feel safe, you are left feeling unsafe. While they are protecting themselves, you are the one bleeding from the silence. This is the hidden meaning behind their distance. It's not the absence of love. It's the fear of love. It's not proof that you're not special. It's proof that you touched a part of them they guard most fiercely. So when they go cold, when they withdraw, when they leave you confused and hurting, remember, the distance is a cry for safety, a cry for love they don't yet know how to receive. They may never say it out loud, but their silence is the love letter they'll never send. The push and pull, the avoidance withdrawal is never random. It follows a rhythm, a pattern, a cycle of closeness and retreat. To you, it feels chaotic, unpredictable, exhausting, but to them, it feels like survival. The closer you get, the stronger the urge to pull away. The more intimacy grows, the more suffocating it feels. This is why one day, they hold your hand tightly, and the next, they won't even meet your eyes. It's why they can kiss you with passion, then turn cold the following morning. It's not because their feelings changed overnight. It's because closeness triggered the alarm system inside of them. Avoidants live in a constant tug of war. On one side, they crave love, warmth, and connection. On the other, they fear it will consume them. So they dance between the two, pulling you in, only to push you away. You become trapped in their rhythm, pulled close, then left in the cold. This push and pull leaves you questioning yourself. You wonder if you did something wrong, if you're asking for too much, if maybe you imagine the intimacy you felt. But the truth is, their withdrawal isn't about your worth. It's about their fear of losing control, fear of needing someone too much, fear of being vulnerable and then left behind. So when intimacy deepens, they create space. When you lean in, they lean back, and you're left carrying the weight of both sides. Here's the paradox. The avoidant doesn't actually want to lose you. That's why they come back. That's why they give just enough to keep the connection alive. But they also don't know how to stay close, because closeness feels unsafe. So they end up needing both, your presence and your distance. And here's what's most heartbreaking. The more they withdraw, the harder you fight to be seen. The harder you fight, the more suffocated they feel. So the cycle repeats, over and over, until you're left exhausted, confused, and questioning yourself. But their withdrawal isn't about punishing you. It isn't about manipulation. It isn't about games. It's about survival. It's about their nervous system doing what it's always done, protecting them from what feels like danger. And for them, intimacy feels like danger. Think about it like this. If someone grew up hungry, they might eat food too quickly, afraid it could be taken away. If someone grew up never feeling safe, they might lock every door 3 times, just to calm the anxiety. And if someone grew up feeling unseen or punished for their needs, they might learn to run from love, because it feels like the same trap. The avoidance withdrawal is their nervous system locking the doors. It's them saying, "This feels too much. I need to protect myself." But the tragedy is, the very thing they long for is the very thing they keep pushing away. And you're left trying to make sense of it. One moment you feel chosen. The next moment you feel invisible. One moment you're everything. The next, you're nothing. It's emotional whiplash, and it hurts more deeply than almost anything else. But here's the secret most people miss. If their withdrawal hurts you this much, it means you reached them. It means you touched a part of them they've spent their whole life hiding. It means your presence is powerful enough to awaken what they've buried. That's why they run. Not because you're unimportant, but because you matter too much. Avoidants rarely withdraw from people who don't matter. They don't build walls against those they don't care for. They don't retreat from what feels safe and meaningless. They only withdraw when someone gets close enough to touch the wound, close enough to awaken the buried longing, close enough to make them feel. And that feeling terrifies them. So when they go cold, it's not indifference, it's fear. It's not lack of care, it's overwhelm. Withdrawal is the avoidance way of saying, I feel too much and I don't know what to do with it. But because they can't say it, you only hear silence. And that silence cuts deeper than words ever could. The push and pull becomes their unspoken language. Pull you in to remind themselves they can feel. Push you away to remind themselves they are safe. It is not fair. It is not easy, but it is the truth of their inner battle. And if you've ever felt like you were dancing on shifting ground, never knowing if they'll hold you close or push you away, you were not imagining it. You were living inside the avoidance, unspoken fear. A fear that says, if I let you all the way in, will I survive it? This is the hidden meaning in their distance. It's not about you being unworthy. It's about them not knowing how to be worthy of closeness. And while their withdrawal feels like abandonment, underneath it is always the same unspoken plea. Please love me, but don't get too close. The cry beneath the silence. Silence. That is the avoidant's loudest cry. Not the words they speak. Not the promises they make. Not even the distance they create. It is the silence in between. The gaps. The absence. The moments when you are left wondering what went wrong. That silence holds everything they cannot say. To you, silence feels like rejection. It feels like abandonment. It feels like being shut out of a world you desperately want to enter. But to them, silence feels like safety. It feels like control. It feels like the only way to avoid drowning in emotions they don't know how to swim through. You see, words carry risk. Words can expose. Words can make them vulnerable. So instead of telling you they are scared, they fall quiet. Instead of admitting they want you, they retreat. Instead of saying they love you, they disappear. And in that silence, you feel punished. But in their mind, they feel protected. This silence is not empty. It is full of unsaid apologies, full of longings they don't admit, full of fears they cannot name. It is their nervous system speaking the only language it knows. Distance equals safety. Closeness equals danger. But here is the paradox. The silence that protects them is the silence that destroys the connection. The wall they build to feel safe is the wall that leaves you hurting. And deep down, they know it. That's why silence often comes with guilt. That's why when they finally return, their eyes sometimes give away more than their words. Have you ever noticed? After a period of withdrawal, they may suddenly reappear. Maybe with a simple hey, maybe with a joke, maybe pretending nothing happened. It's not because they forgot. It's because they can't bring themselves to say, I missed you. I'm sorry. I was afraid. So they say nothing and hope you fill in the blanks. But make no mistake, their silence isn't indifference. It's not that they don't care. It's that they care too much and don't know how to carry it. So silence becomes the middle ground. Not too close, not too far, just quiet. But for you, that quiet is devastating because silence makes you question yourself. Did I do something wrong? Was I too much? Am I not enough? You replay every conversation, every word, every glance, searching for the reason why they pulled away. But the truth is, the reason isn't in you. It's in them, in the wound they never healed, in the fear they never faced, in the belief that silence will save them, when really, it's what keeps them trapped. Silence is also a test, not consciously, but emotionally. It's as if they are asking, will you still be there when I vanish? Will you leave me if I stop showing up? Can you handle my distance without abandoning me completely? This test isn't fair, but it comes from fear, not malice. And sometimes, silence is punishment, not of you, but of themselves. They retreat not because they want to hurt you, but because they feel ashamed of needing you. Because the moment they reach for closeness, they hear the voice of old wounds whispering, you'll be hurt again. You can't trust this. You don't deserve this. So they punish themselves with distance, and you feel it as rejection. This is the hidden cry of the avoidant. Every withdrawal, every ghosting, every cold wall is not just avoidance. It is grief. It is fear. It is love buried beneath a lifetime of defenses. Think about the times you've been hurt. When your heart broke, did you want to speak about it right away? Or did you want to retreat, hide, and sit with the ache alone? Now imagine feeling that way every time someone tries to love you. That is the inner world of the avoidant. Their silence is saying, I want you, but I don't know how to need you. I feel for you, but I don't know how to show it. I am moved by you, but that movement terrifies me. And so they stay quiet, not because they are empty, but because they are overflowing. The saddest part is this. Silence convinces you that they don't care. So you pull back too. And now, two people who love each other are trapped in a gulf of words unspoken. They suffer in silence. You suffer in silence. And love suffocates in the gap between. Yet, even in silence, there are signs. The way they glance at you when they think you're not looking. The way their energy shifts when you walk into the room. The way they reappear after disappearing, as if something in them cannot let go completely. These are the cracks in their silence. The cracks where their longing leaks out. When the avoidant withdraws, you might think the connection is over. But silence doesn't mean absence of feeling. It means too many feelings, all at once. Their silence is not the end. It's the struggle in the middle. And maybe this is the hardest truth of all. When they fall silent, they are not ignoring you. They are hiding from themselves. Because you awaken something in them they cannot yet face. And until they learn to face it, silence will always be their shield. So when you hear nothing, remember what's hidden underneath. Silence is not, I don't care. It is, I care more than I can handle. Silence is not, you mean nothing. It is, you mean too much. Silence is not the absence of love. It is the presence of fear. And once you see it that way, you begin to understand the hidden meaning. The cry beneath the silence is love. A love too afraid to speak its own name. The wound that shapes them. Behind every avoidant silence, behind their coldness, behind their withdrawal, is a wound. Not a small one, not a passing bruise, but a wound so deep, it shaped the way they see love itself. This wound was not born in your relationship. It was not created by something you did. It lives in them from long before you met. It was carved in childhood, etched into their nervous system, written into the story of their earliest bonds. Picture a child who wanted comfort, a child who reached out for warmth, a child who cried, and no one came, or someone came, but not gently, not consistently, not safely. So the child learned something painful. If I reach out, I might be ignored. If I cry, I might be shamed. If I show my need, I might be rejected. And so, the child stopped reaching, stopped crying, stopped asking. They learned to survive by self-reliance, by shutting down, by pretending they didn't need. That child grew into the avoidant adult you know, still carrying the same lesson. Need is dangerous. Closeness is unsafe. Dependence will only hurt me. So every time you lean closer, you awaken that wound. Not because you've done something wrong, but because love itself touches the very scar they've been protecting all their life. This wound shapes everything. It shapes the way they love, the way they argue, the way they run, the way they return. It's not about you. It's about the old story still alive inside them. Imagine living with a nervous system that says, "Don't get too close. Don't show your feelings. Don't need anyone." And yet, deep inside, there is still the child who longs to be held. This is the contradiction of the avoidant. A war between the wound that fears love and the heart that craves it. That is why they confuse you. One moment, they pull you in. The next, they push you away. One day, they kiss you like you're everything. The next, they act like you're nothing. It's not because they don't care. It's because the wound does not know how to stay. The wound whispers lies. If you let them close, they'll leave. If you show how much you care, they'll use it against you. If you let yourself love, you'll be abandoned again. So even when their heart says yes, the wound says no, and the wound usually wins. But here's the part you may not see. They hate this about themselves. They don't want to keep running. They don't want to push away the very thing they long for. But the wound is older than their will, older than their logic, older than their love for you. It lives in their body, in their reflexes, in the way their breath shortens when you get too close, in the way their chest tightens when intimacy grows. Think of it like this. You're not just facing the adult in front of you. You're facing the child inside them, the one who had to armor themselves against heartbreak too soon. And when you touch that child's wound, their first instinct is to run, not from you, but from the ghost of the pain they once felt. That's why they hurt you most when you come closest. Because closeness equals danger. Because your love awakens the very memory they've tried to bury. You think you're giving them love, but to them, it feels like exposure. It feels like risk. It feels like stepping back into a fire they once burned in. And yet, that same wound is why they never forget you. Because even when they run, your love touches something in them no one else has. Not the armor, not the defenses, but the soft, hidden place beneath. And no matter how much they pretend, they remember. So when they go cold, it's not about cruelty. It's about survival. When they dismiss you, it's not about indifference. It's about fear. When they hurt you, it's not because you don't matter. It's because you matter too much. Their wound makes them believe love is dangerous, but their heart still craves it anyway. That's the paradox you live in. That's why it feels like whiplash. Hot one day, cold the next. Because you're not just loving them. You're loving the wound they carry. And here's the hidden meaning. When they withdraw, it's not, "I don't want you." It's, "I can't handle the feelings you awaken in me." When they ghost, it's not, "I don't care." It's, "I care so much that I don't know how to stay." When they act like nothing happened, it's not, "It meant nothing." It's, "It meant everything. And I don't know how to admit it." The wound they carry may not be your fault, but it shapes every moment between you. And until they face it, you will always feel it. Because every word left unsaid, every kiss that feels erased, every wall they build, is just the wound speaking louder than their love. So the next time they pull back, try to remember this. You are not fighting against their love. You are fighting against their wound. And sometimes, the wound feels bigger than the heart. But no matter how far they run, no matter how silent they go, the wound does not erase what was felt. Because deep beneath the fear, beneath the silence, beneath the walls, love is still there. Fragile, terrified, but real. This wound explains the hidden meaning behind their behavior. Not disrespect, not rejection, but protection. The wound is their shield. Their silence is their armor. Their coldness is their way of saying, I want you, but I'm afraid of what wanting you might cost. When distance speaks love, it sounds strange, doesn't it? That distance could ever mean love. That silence could ever carry affection. That withdrawal could ever hide a kind of care. But with the avoidant, love does not always come wrapped in the forms you expect. It often disguises itself as distance. When they pull back after closeness, it doesn't mean the moment was meaningless. It means the moment meant so much that they had to retreat to survive it. When they disappear after a deep connection, it doesn't mean you were disposable. It means they felt something so powerful, they didn't know how to process it. Distance, for them, is not absence of feeling. It is protection of it. Because closeness stirs their deepest fear, the fear of being hurt again. And rather than risk the wound reopening, they choose the safety of space. This is why their silence hurts you. Because you mistake it for indifference, when really, it is their way of coping with feelings that overwhelm them. They go quiet not because they don't care. They go quiet because they care so much. And caring feels dangerous. But here's the paradox. The more they withdraw, the more they prove that something real was touched. If you meant nothing, they could stay. They could laugh it off. They could treat you like just anyone. But the very fact that they run is proof that you awakened something they can't numb. Their distance speaks a secret language. It says, you matter more than I know how to handle. It terrifies me how much I feel. I love you in ways I can't yet survive. You see, an avoidant does not forget the one who reached their heart. They can distract themselves. They can hide behind work, silence, or new faces. They can pretend they've moved on. But inside, the echo of you remains. Because not many people reach past their armor. Not many people get close enough to awaken both the fear and the longing. Not many people become unforgettable. So when they go distant, it is not the end of the story. It is the only way they know how to keep the story alive, without being consumed by it. Distance, for them, is a form of breathing space, a survival tactic, a nervous system reset. It's not about not wanting you. It's about needing to calm the storm you awaken in them. Think of it like this. You pour your love into them. You make them feel seen, wanted, cherished. But their body remembers an old truth. Love is dangerous. So when you pour too much, their system overloads, and they step back to keep from shutting down completely. That step back is not rejection. It's regulation. It's their attempt to make the unbearable bearable. And if you look closer, you'll see the signs. The way they hover at the edge of leaving, but never fully let go. The way they cut off contact, but still circle back in subtle ways. The way they run, yet never stop remembering. Their distance is not a wall forever. It is a pause, a retreat, a way of holding the feelings at a distance, so they don't drown in them. And here's the most hidden meaning. When they distance themselves, they are not just protecting their heart. They are protecting yours. Because deep down, they fear this. If I let you see how much I love you, you'll discover the brokenness I carry. And when you do, you'll leave me like everyone else. So they hide, not because you don't matter, but because you matter so much that losing you would destroy them. This is why the avoidant never forgets. Because even when their body pushes you away, their heart remembers the safety you gave them, the patience, the moments where they were seen without judgment, the rare times when they could lay down the armor, even just for a second. Those moments do not vanish. They live on, replaying in the quiet of their solitude. So when you ask yourself, how could they treat me this way if they cared? Remember this. Their way of showing love is not the way you expect, but it is still love. distorted, buried, but love nonetheless. Their withdrawal whispers, I love you, but I'm scared of losing you. Their silence says, I'm thinking of you, even when I can't reach out. Their distance confesses, you're too important to risk, so I'll protect myself from you and from me. And the more you mattered, the more they ran, because love for them is not safe ground. It is the battlefield where their oldest wounds awaken. But here's the truth they'll never say. Even in the distance, you live inside them. Even in the silence, they carry your voice. Even in the withdrawal, they long for your presence. They may not chase. They may not confess. They may not stay, but they never forget. This is the hidden meaning of their distance. Not rejection, not absence, but a cry for love, disguised as withdrawal. And if you listen closely, beneath the silence, you can hear it. I wanted you all along. I just didn't know how to stay. So when they hurt you most, remember, it was never because you weren't enough. It was because you were everything they couldn't yet handle. Their distance was never the end. It was the proof of what was too deep to face. Because with the avoidant, love doesn't always look like closeness. Sometimes, love looks like distance. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest proof you ever mattered is not in the words they never said, but in the silence they could never escape. Because even in the cold, even in the distance, you left a warmth inside them that they will carry forever.